What if I was to tell you that all of the problems that you have right now were given to you, that you've either been wired for success or wired for failure? But here's the good news. Regardless of how you're wired for success or failure, you can always fix it. And I'm going to give you the tools on how you can figure out what's going on in your life, regardless if it's on a personal level, business level, employee level, whatever those problems that you're having. I'm going to show you how to identify them and how you can fix it. But I think the first thing that we need to fully understand so we can have a foundation is that when we're born, we are, as a baby, when we're born, we are blank. We don't know anything. And I think that that's the problem. When I was thinking about making this video, is I was like, do people really think that we knew it all as a baby? Like, as an adult, we think that it was just, all of this stuff was just thrown onto us and we just, I don't know. We all have our own thoughts about it, but we are blank. As a baby, we are blank. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we are actually built by our parents and people that are around us. And we think that we're making our own decisions when we're really making decisions that were given to us. And some of those decisions are good decisions. Some of those decisions are bad decisions. And then, yes, we do start to make our own decisions, but a lot of the decisions that we're making were just given to us. And I'm going to prove it to you. So let's just take it from here. As we're a baby, as a baby, we are our parents. We do not know that we exist other than our parents that are doing everything for us. We see them. If you were to put a mirror up to us as a baby and we look at it, we was like, really, what's going through our mind is, what the hell is that? Even though we're moving to the left, right hand, all of that, that does not mean anything. What means everything to us is our parents. And how do we know that that's our parents when we're blank? There's an internal relationship with our mothers, and then there starts to become a repetitive relationship with our father. We see him, we see him, we see him, we see him, we see him. Doesn't that make sense to you? So we learn how to smile from our parents. We learn how to make faces from our parents. We learn how to laugh from our parents. We learn how to clap from our parents. And all of that is done by repetitive. Repeat, and we start to, like our brain starts to record certain things. And then there comes a time where we as a baby, we start to test these things, but there's a time period that we're not sure, so we just sit there. And then the first thing that we might do is we'll smile. Be like, okay, it's okay to smile. Why do we believe it's okay to smile? Because of the reaction that we got. So we start to test, we say, okay, we'll get another reaction and we'll smile. So we also start to understand what we need to be happy about, and we also start to understand what we feel sad about, and we start to develop feelings. We start to develop them. And actually what's actually happening during that development is that we're actually testing. We're like, if we do this, this is the reaction we're going to get. We do that, this is the reaction we're going to get. They do this, I do this reaction, and then it comes back, okay, that seems like a good reaction. And how do we relate that when we can't really talk is that the feeling we show with what we're doing with our bodies, smile and all of that, that brings us a feeling. We start to develop, this is a good feeling. We get a sense of that good feeling from our parents because they're smiling, they're happy, clapping, doing all of that stuff, and we start to put these things together. It's like we have this one compartment in our brain that's like, this is what you do when they do that. This is how you feel when they do that. This is what they do when this is what they do, and then when they do it, I do this. This is how I feel, and this seems to be how they feel. And we start to put all of that together, and it really starts to fire off quick. But if you have a baby, or you know, a relative has a baby, and you can watch the development. This is something that I've done with my grandchildren. So now, the first time that we start to understand, the first time that we truly start to understand, I'm looking down because I got my TikTok group here. I got my Facebook group here for Making Money with Stephen Williams on YouTube. And I got my TikTok here, and I got my LinkedIn. Like, I got multiple what I'm dealing with here. So that's why I'm looking down at my notes here. But the first time that we start to understand ourselves, that we are something other than our parents, is when we start to look at our hands and our arms and our legs and our feet and our toes, and then we put them into our mouths. That's like the first time, because what we actually do, if you observe this, is that we get a feeling. Well, first we get the sight. We start to test movement. We get a feeling in us that this is me moving this. No one else is around you. That's why me and my wife talk about swaddling a baby and having them like this. No, when you do that, you're stopping the development phase of them finding out about themselves. You're actually slowing down that process. Now, I'm not a psychologist or something, but I'm just telling you that that's when I observe a baby that's being swallowed, or just swallowed, whatever they call it, swaddled. That's what I see, is that they're not able to, to develop themselves on their feeling, their, movements and stuff like that. So we put our hands in our mouths and we get that sensation. And we know that that's us because we do it. We see ourselves doing it, and we start to understand that this is a part of us. But understand, we don't really see the other parts of our body. We don't understand that we're complete, that we have a body, legs, all of that stuff, even a head. We really don't understand it, but we start to put these things together. So now when we start to make that full connection, when we have all of those sensations, we got to see our hand, mouth in there, feel it, our toes. That's why babies will try to put everything that we, as a baby, we try to put everything in our mouth, because we start to believe that that's all of that stuff is us. And we start to later understand that stuff, that you're putting in your mouth, the toys and all that, isn't us. But we do relate it like it is us. We consume. So now, that's the foundation. I went through that because I wanted to kind of establish the foundation, because what I'm about to tell you right now might upset some people. It might upset some people. So when we start to go out there and live our lives, or we're growing up, and all of that stuff that we learned over time, there's more things that we go through, but that's the basic foundation of how everything is built within us. So as we move forward and we're growing up, we have these parents in our lives, or authority figures, and they tell us things, they say things. And there's a crazy thing that happens, is that there's no, what I call a firewall. Do you know what a firewall is? A firewall, like when we're looking at our computers, I'm looking at my computer here. A firewall stops things that you don't want to come in because it could be dangerous. When we're dealing with our parents, remember what I said earlier. Our parents is everything. Our parents is us. A part of our feelings of what we experience in life is actually from what we either got from our parents or what we sensed from our parents. There are certain things that your parent can just look at you and you know what they want you to do, or you understand completely. So when parents or an authority figure, they tell us something and there's no firewall, there's a process, and it goes like this. You have a feeling. Remember, the feelings have already started to be established as a child. So those feelings are either going to be good feelings or bad feelings, but it doesn't matter. There's no firewall. You're just going to accept. And then you're going to look for something that is similar to what they're telling you. And I'm going to tell you an interesting story about one of my friends, a Jewish friend of mine, when I said to him, well, when he intimated that black people had never done anything, and I'm going to be like, this guy is crazy, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. But so we are told something, the something that we were told elicits a feeling. The feelings are from when we were growing up, put in us from whatever we experienced with our parents or other authority figures. The next thing is we're going to start to look for something similar. Now, this is where the problem starts to come in, because we will either make up something or we will do what we were told. And this is where the whole thing comes together about what I said at the beginning, is that you're either wired for success or you're wired for failure. Because depending on what you were told, and it could be right or wrong, depending on what you were told about something, and because you are young and you do not have any similar experiences to go back to, so either you're going to make something up, and children do have big imaginations, they'll make something up, or they're going to do what they're told. And I'm not here to say what's right or wrong, I'm just telling you the process that we go through. And so just think about it this way. If you're a young child and you're told something, let's just say about a race of people, and you have nothing of experience to go back on, what do you believe? Now, let's just put that in a box right there. Where did the person who told you get that belief from? Where did the person who got that belief, where did they get it from? Why did they accept it? Why do we accept any beliefs that we had no foundational experience to go back to that was similar? And we didn't make up anything. And that person was an authority figure. That person was our parent. What do? We take what they have. So this is how stuff is passed on. This is how people could be wired for success. This is how people could be wired for failure. This is how people could be wired for being prejudiced, thinking about people a certain way, about money a certain way, about life a certain way, anything. It's like this is the root. So now at a certain point in all of our lives as we grow up and develop, is that we start to add on. And this is where we'll say, okay, I heard what you said, mom and dad or authority figure, but I'm going to start to make my own decisions. And this is where a lot of people fail, because they try to make different decisions, but they don't understand that they have to be fully consciously aware of what they're trying to do. Because if they are not fully consciously aware, you will default back. Why do you default back? Because number one, the brain is lazy. The human brain is very lazy. And the subconscious mind is going to give you the lazy way out. What is a lazy way out? Go back to what your parents told you. Go back to what, even if it's not where you are in conflict with your parents, just go back to how you feel with the stuff that your parents told you. You'll just blank out. You'll just cross out parents, but you go back to the feeling. And that's the easy way. That's why a lot of people, when they try to be successful, try to go out there and get a better job or improve their lives or better relationship or whatever, they really are just doing the same thing. It's just either in a relationship, just a different face. Same baggage, they attract the same person, just different face. trying to be successful in a business. Take the baggage from your other failures, put it on your business. The feelings, you default back when you run into problems to the old feelings. It just looks different, but you're doing the same thing. That's why you continue failing. At a job, go for a job, baggage, feeling, you default back. All of a sudden, you need to leave that job. When the whole problem comes down to you. You are the problem. When I had to make changes in my life, and when I made the greatest changes in my life, and I did it early in my 20s, I was like, I got to make these changes. Actually, it was even before 20. It was at the age of 14 when I listened to my first subconscious reprogramming audio cassette tape. Was at the age of 14, I don't want to have this life that I saw relatives and family members have. Not going to put nobody out there, but I made that decision early. Got around some people who told me, if you want to be different, you're going to have to be different on the inside first. And when you're different on the inside, it will translate and materialize on the outside. A lot of people try to make changes on the outside, and then because they didn't change on the inside, they're going to destroy everything that even if somebody gave them something on the outside, they're going to destroy it. But before I get to my next thing, this is real. So understand this. This is a big lesson. People destroy everything from themselves, and then they destroy everything. They do not, like your business or your job that you have, or your relationship that you have, does not destroy itself on the outside and come inside. You destroy it. Everything that is destroyed, you started the destruction. Now, people and things might participate, but those are really drawn into your life. You will destroy everything. So one of the biggest lessons that I learned is that if you are fully conscious of the decisions that you make, you will never, you will be the one that will destroy stuff, and you will never be able to blame it on the outside. Never be able. And that gives you a lot of power, because then you know that you need to, which is the next part that I was going to get into, is that you need to be fully conscious of all the decisions that you make. You cannot be automatic. Now, I'm not saying everything. You'll tire yourself out. But what I'm saying is important decisions that you have to make regarding your life, your job, relationships, income, business, stuff like that, children, that you're dealing with. You got to make a conscious decision. You got to understand, and you got to get used to doing it, is that if I do this, what are these potential outcomes? Like, you have to be very conscious of them. You cannot be automatic. Automatic people destroy their lives. Automatic people destroy their lives. So now let me tell you about my friend. I won't mention his name. And I had, just in conversation, we were going back and forth. And he was like, Steve, he was like, black people haven't really done nothing. And I was like, what the hell do you mean black people have not done nothing? Why would you even feel comfortable saying something like that? But when I look back, and I dealt with him in that conversation, but when you think about it, it comes back to exactly what I'm talking about in this video, is that people are given stuff, like they're given things, and because our minds are lazy, because we're not going to go out there and see if black people did something, we're not going to go out there and see if other people did, all of this stuff. And we all, I don't want to pick on him, we all do this in some form or fashion. Is that because we're that way, and we got that information from somebody else, and we were not guarded when we got that information because we respected them, they were an authority figure, there is no firewall in place, we will tend to believe things without really true foundation behind them, but behind it. And that's because of the process that we go through when we're getting information and we're developing as people, developing as a baby, developing as a child, developing as a teenager, developing as an adult. We're going to go through all of these levels. And the short and simple way to solve those problems, and this is what I do on a daily basis with any problems, business, personal, all of this stuff, is that you got to just be conscious. And really, if you want to really be in full control of yourself, is that you need to think before you speak. You need to get all information, let people talk, get the information, and then if it seems wise to offer the opinion, you offer the opinion. There will be times that you know that it is not wise to offer the opinion. This is a different level of thinking. This is a very different level of thinking. A lot of people will say to me that they like, how do you stay in control? You don't just, go crazy and jump off. And it's because I've practiced having that control. And it will allow you when you are, obstacles come in your life, things come into your life, that are unexpected, emergencies. It allows you to be able to, to work your way through them. And I believe that that's very important. So tell me what you think about this. Tell me what you think about this video. Post your questions and comments. Thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it. My name is Stephen A. Williams.